Hello everyone and welcome to my review for Record of Ragnarok Chapter 50. Before I get into this month's review, I of course have to mention my subscriber goal for 2021, hitting 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you're already a fan of the channel and you're not subscribed, you might as well help reach that goal. And if you're already subscribed, you should check to make sure that you still are. YouTube seems to be back on its bullshit with unsubscribing people from channels without warning, so just go and check to make sure you're still subbed. The other thing is my Patreon, if you want to help support me and the channel directly, while also getting access to reviews for solo leveling and the Boxer. You can always become a patron. I've linked that down in the description. With that out of the way, let's get on with the review. I didn't think about it at first, but this is actually a big milestone chapter. 50 chapters of Shumatsu no Valkyrie have been released. Pretty impressive, I guess. So this is a pretty important chapter for a few reasons. I talked about some of those in my leaks discussion video. You can go and check that out if you're interested, though some of the things that I say in it are now disproven by this video, since we have the full translated chapter thanks to Demi and Orang scans. So, for starters, it seems like the arena is in hell now, or something. I have no idea how this happened. Anyway, standoff between Buddha and Hajun. Gol is freaked out by Hajun. She doesn't know what he is. And the more terrifying thing here is that Brunhild has no idea what Hajun is, which is kind of absurd, because even when Brunhild has lapses in judgment and does not expect things, she still generally knows what things are. However, she has zero idea whatsoever what Hajun is, which is kind of insane, because Brunhild is one of the expo dump characters who knows everything. So the fact that she knows absolutely nothing about Hajun is pretty ridiculous. Now, Buddha asks Hajun what happened to Zirafuku, and he says he's gone, nowhere to be found in this world. Now I hope we get a more in-depth explanation for that later on, because I do want to know what happened to Zero, like what his whole deal was in all of this, because that's still not explained in this chapter, and I feel you kind of have to explain that. So he introduces himself, Buddha just asks what he is, and Hajun gives a very interesting reply, that being that he wants to try out these powers that he has now. So I guess Hajun took over Zirafuku's body, and that has somehow changed his powers. Very strange. I don't know. This is probably the first time he's ever manifested this way, so it's quite possible that the powers he has now are different from whatever powers he had in the past. Now, Loki doesn't know what the fuck Hajun is. He asks Odin if he knows, and Odin doesn't respond. Odin looks kind of, I don't know, pissed, kind of serious. I'm not sure. Now, Odin's whole deal is that he's all-knowing. He's the Almighty. So, I would assume he at least knows something about Hajun, considering there are other old deities that know what Hajun is. And we'll get introduced to one soon. But yeah, Ares doesn't know what he is. Hermes has no idea what he is, and then another character comes in. The new drippiest character in Record of Ragnarok, who kicks Ares out of his chair and introduces himself. This is Hades. So I talked at depth about how much I like Hades and this design for him in my leaks video. So to give a short summary, he's really fucking cool, and I really like his character, both in Greek mythology and what we've seen from him thus far. Some people have said that, oh shit, Hades is definitely fighting, now that we have a spot open up because of this round. I don't know about that. Having like 5 Greek gods go up, really? Just replace Apollo if you're gonna have Hades go up. I'd rather have someone from a different pantheon go up. But we'll see what happens. So, Hades is here, since Hades is from the Underworld, and he tells us a bit about Hajun, because not even Zeus knows about it, interestingly enough. Also, it should be of note that Hades heard about Poseidon dying, and that's kind of why he came here, which I had always figured would be the reason. Hades was teased when we got Poseidon's intro, and Hades is generally one of the... he's probably the least shitty of the Brothers of Olympus, so if there would be anyone that would come by when he hears that his brother had been erased from existence, it would be Hades. So, good to see that he's here. That's like a little tiny tidbit into his character that I like a lot. So he's here to explain to us what the deal is with Hajun. So here we get an explanation that basically the universe is divided into 3 layers. You have Heaven, or Valhalla, you have Midgard, or Earth, and you have the Netherworld, which goes by many names: Hell, the Demon World, the Origin Land, or Helheim. So Record of Ragnarok's already done this thing, if you couldn't tell based on the name being Norse mythology related, is that everything from every mythology exists, but you kind of get it from a general frame of Norse mythology, which is kind of weird because the Greek pantheon has been the most prominent, but whatever. So, in the Netherworld, there's a legend that Beelzebub told us in the last chapter, and I'm kind of wondering what this prophecy, or whatever, this legend means about Hajun's connection to Zarafuku, the blending of white light and black shadows. I feel like that has something to do with Zarafuku's mindset. We have to wonder why the fuck Zarafuku had the horns of the Netherworld. I don't know. And he's called Eternal Darkness, which is actually important. So, there's no explanation for what the 6th heaven is. I guess the 6 realms in Buddhism would be split among the 3 realms that exist in this universe. So, the demon realm would be in the Netherworld. Now, the most interesting thing here is that Hades still has never seen Hajun before. So this dude's a complete fucking anomaly in the entire universe. No one knows where this guy is from. This is the weirdest thing to happen with any character that's shown up, and it's immensely fascinating. Frankly, more interesting than Zarafuku, and I already found Zarafuku to be a fairly interesting concept when he was introduced. Now, I had never considered this before this chapter, but I guess there's going to be a connection between Hades, Beelzebub. I already figured there was going to be a connection with Anubis, probably Osiris when he shows up, some of the Shinto gods, Hela from Norse mythology. In Greek mythology, as far as I understand, the gods that inhabit the underworld are called the Chthonian gods. So it seems like we're going to be getting into that subsect of the gods in Record of Ragnarok, and I find that really interesting. So now we get back to the battle between Buddha and Hajun's getting accustomed to this new body he's in. He just sort of forms a sword on his right arm, which is pretty cool. And he's having that thing where he's like, I don't know what I can do in this body. So I may accidentally end this in an instant. I may accidentally one-shot you. So the two of them go into an exchange, and we see Buddha is not useless without his future sight. He's still a fairly skilled, strong warrior. It's just that he's no longer invincible like he was before. And finally, we get an explanation as to why Buddha cannot see Hajun's future, and it's kind of explained here, as they say earlier. Hajun is eternal darkness. So, Buddha's enlightened future sight is based off of the souls of other creatures. It is able to read the intent of the soul. Basically, when you decide to do something, your soul moves before the body does. So Buddha's future sight reads that movement of the soul. However, there is no light within Hajun's soul, which I kind of interpret as meaning Hajun has no soul, which is pretty fucking scary. I feel like Hajun is the most objectively evil being we've seen thus far. He's the devil. I mean, he's already the devil in Buddhism, so it's fitting, but, like, there's not any real redeeming qualities for this guy. Like, this goes beyond Poseidon just being a dick. I don't think Poseidon was ever malicious. Hajun is a malicious entity. So now Buddha is vulnerable to Hajun's attacks. He even gets scratched on the arm. But they go into kind of a back and forth. Hajun's sword arm turns into like a sword whip. Buddha blocks it and then pushes himself away off of Hajun's stomach. So then Hajun decides to go all out, and he uses his sword arm whip, twists his arm around really gross, like Zarafuku kind of did during his introduction when he took out the Misery Cleaver, and he makes a giant fucking Gurren Lagann heaven-piercing demon drill. And Buddha looks terrified. This is the most freaked out I have seen any fighter in Record of Ragnarok. He looks genuinely afraid, which is a first. So he uses the Six Realms Staff, summons the Ahimsa Shield, and the drill clashes with the shield. And you know what happens, folks? The drill pierces the shield. It's not strong enough to hold back Hajun. It goes right through it, makes a very clean hole, and it gouges out one of Buddha's eyes. Which is really, really bad, because Adam lost his eyes, Raiden lost an eye, both of those dudes lost. Both of them are dead. So this is really bad for Buddha. But Hajun starts laughing like an asshole. So, this is like big Poseidon face again. So we've got a weird thing going on here with both of the fighters having really big loser flags. I have no idea what's going to happen from here. I do find it more likely that Buddha wins than Hajun does, because I just cannot see a character like this winning, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe that'll be the surprise of this round, is that the irredeemable, objectively evil piece of shit actually wins. Who knows? But now I have to talk about how I feel about Zerafuku being replaced by Hajun, because I'm not quite sure how I feel about it. I think Hajun is much cooler to watch fight. Having an actual formidable opponent fighting Buddha is much more compelling than having a very whiny child. You know, just swinging around an accident. Yes, I understand there's more to Zerafuku's character. I'll get into that right now, actually. But Hajun as a character is not that compelling or deep, whereas Zerafuku is. I think Lupus from the Record of Ragnarok server put it best in that, essentially, if I can find the message, it's that, how did he put it? Yeah, Buddha's there to help Zero grow, Hajun's there to give Zero value, Zero is there to give Buddha value, and Hajun there is to help Buddha grow. So, like Buddha helped Zerafuku grow, now Hajun is going to help Zerafuku grow. And I guess now that Hajun is here, we care more about Zerafuku in retrospect, because it's like, ah, shit. Now now Zerafuku is gone. Maybe forever? I don't know. He says he's no longer here in this world. Maybe he got teleported to another world. His consciousness is somewhere else. I have no idea. But let me know what you guys think about, you know, Hajun being introduced in the fight. Personally, I think the combat itself has gotten much more exciting and interesting with this chapter, so I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next. I figure we probably have 2 more months in the fight. Maybe 1 if they do a double chapter next month. I don't know how likely that is. Normally, they don't just have 1 month in between them. They either do it back to back, or they have several months in between. So I find it fairly plausible that next month we get some kind of backstory for Hajun explaining his existence, and then maybe something at the end where Buddha has found a way to turn around the fight, and then we get a 2-chapter conclusion. I think it could go like that. But you guys should let me know what you think's going to happen in the comments below. So with that, that's all I have to say for this month's review. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. I do Record of Ragnarok chapter reviews every month. If you enjoy other series such as Jujutsu Kaisen, Kengan Omega, and Chainsaw Man, I do videos on those series as well, so if you're interested in those, you should definitely check out my channel. If you enjoy discussing Record of Ragnarok with other people, or you just enjoy the content I produce on this channel, I highly suggest check out my Discord server. I have a link to that down in the description. And since it's the end of the video, it's time to give a shout out to my wonderful patrons: Fuse, Neo, Dijon Redden, Anthony Chavez, Honey Mustard, Zach Rowitz, K-God, Chris Redfield, Scratch23, Moonshadow935, Rat, Ryzen 4K, and Artist. Thank you all very much for supporting me on Patreon. I greatly appreciate it. And if you too want to get a shout out at the end of videos, or access to reviews for solo leveling in the Boxer, you can always become a patron as well. There's a link to my Patreon down in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys around. Take care.